Hi, I'm George Levy for blocksEDU, and today I have the opportunity to speak with Mike Winston, chairman of Jet Token. Mike, great seeing you.
Good to see you, George.
The last time that we spoke, we were actually at CoinAgenda. You won an award for your vision in blockchain. A lot has happened since then. Catch me up on everything that's led us to where we are today.
Well, sure. Since that recognition, well, we're here in our offices, of course, which is great. We've launched an app in the iOS store. Most importantly, we have welcomed George Levy, our CEO, who has 30 years experience in the industry. What else can I tell you? Oh, and we're taking delivery of 4 Honda jets later this year to be based in Vegas. We continue, of course, to engage with our partner, Gamma Aviation and Honda Jet. I'm very pleased with those relationships and lucky to have them.
So the interesting thing is that you had actually mentioned all these things when we spoke at CoinAgenda, but they were a vision at the time. This is live. You've actually accomplished all these, and actually Jet Token is a live product right now. Tell me more about what Jet Token is and how people use you.
So if you ask most people if they know how to charter a private jet, they don't know. And that's perfectly reasonable. So we've taken a relatively complex process and made it really simple with an app so you can look, book, and fly. We help you match the right asset to the right mission to land safely. You don't have to know anything about private jets really to make sure that you get the right one. And you don't have to talk to us if you don't want. You can just book it and be done. But if you'd like to, we'll be glad to chat. We're committed to safety. Safety is our first priority. That's actually part of our relationship with Honda and Gamma and our CEO with 30 years experience. I was very committed to safety when I first started this business, remain so. So that answers your question.
So my question to you would be, that's my follow-up question right now. So I do a lot of traveling. I do a lot of commercial traveling. I've never booked a private plane. In many ways, I don't know how to do it, but beyond that, I don't know why I would need to actually book private flight. Does that make sense?
Sure. So we're working to get a fairer, more inclusive result in private aviation thanks to the blockchain. That actually begins with a membership program and not immediately with charter, but we're taking a very measured and thoughtful approach consistent with regulation. We're finding that when we do that, we get more durable outcomes, and that's important. So when it comes to booking a private jet, usually you're doing it for a team. When you see a private jet taking off or landing, if you have occasion to it, half the time it's got a team of people who are not C-level executives on it. It's flying for about an hour and a half. There's 2 to 3 people on board, and the Honda Jet does those missions with great efficiency.
Yeah, and the question that I would ask you that, because in my mind, when I think of a private jet, I think about a rock star, I think about a politician, yeah. But you're actually mentioning just executives, basically employees. Tell me how that plays into the equation, because I'm not familiar with that.
Well, I mean, business jets are a $200 billion a year industry, and charter is a $7.5 billion subsegment of that industry. So there's about 14,000 planes in the country, about 4,000 for charter. That includes both U.S. and international. And so, yes, there's rock stars. I think Warren Buffett calls his plane the indefensible because he's flying a big business jet with very few people on it. There's an element of that, and I think you want to be honest about that. But a lot of it is just driving commerce forward. And that's why every company in the S&P 500, but for a handful, have a business jet. It's why half of the 25 or 50-hour jet cards that are sold to corporate flight departments or individuals who already have a business jet, but maybe need one for a specialized mission, a shorter hop or a very long hop, or perhaps to bring executives to a place where some others have already gathered using the existing aircraft.
So let me ask you a question. So say, for example, I work for a company that's not in the S&P 500. We don't own a private plane. Why would we want to actually look at using a private flight option at all?
Well, let's say you have a team of 4 people plus yourself, and you're going to 3 cities for 3 different meetings. And you're going to have to stay overnight in a hotel, fly commercial, per diem, or you could do that on a business jet in the space of a day or a day and a half. You save money, or you can, and if you couldn't, then people wouldn't be doing it. And it's really a remarkable thing. In the U.S., we have 14,000 jets in the fleet. The next country down on the list has about 900, then about 700, and then 1 to 200 for the rest of the world. So it's maybe the best kept secret in American commerce.
So the question that I would ask there is just putting things in context. At the end of the day, I have to do wise investments if I'm actually spending the company money, and I'm actually so what you're saying is that in some situations it might be more cost effective or more practical from an efficiency standpoint to actually fly private, no?
That's right. the use case for business aviation is a pretty clean one, I think. And then there's lots of people who are flying for lifestyle who happen to just be very wealthy. But part of the democratization of private aviation is that you can catch an empty leg because these aircraft fly empty a third of the time on average in the U.S. So if your schedule's open for very little money, you can have this experience, which is a lot of fun. And the other part about the democratization of private aviation is since the advent of the light jet, which HondaJet is, that's a $5 million aircraft, not a $50 million aircraft. So in terms of cost, there's a lot more you can do.
So the question that I would ask you is, in the context of things, a company that is not would not be able to own their own plane. This could be an option for that. Now, you mentioned that there's membership options. So give me all the colors that a smaller business or just a non-S&P 500 company could actually benefit from using Jet Token.
Sure. So start out chartering with us and get a feel for it and see how useful it is for you. If it makes sense and if it's helping you reduce your travel budget or it's just getting you more revenues, but for less than you're paying out, then you want to consider moving up to a 25-hour card. If that's working for you, then we should talk to you about a bigger card or a fractional ownership situation. And then finally, if you're flying, let's say 250 hours a year, then we'd be very glad to help you buy a jet. So it's sort of like rent a car, lease a car, buy a car. It's the same kind of logic. Charter if you're doing less than 25 hours a year. Get a card if you're doing 25 or more and you need to have it on demand. That is to say during periods of high travel demand, because you won't be able to charter, around the holidays or certain sporting events. And then once you go beyond 25 hours, then it's time for a bigger, brawnier block hour type of card, 50 or 100 hours. And then beyond that, as I mentioned earlier, it's time to think about acquiring an aircraft.
Now, your team would be able to advise me or whoever would actually be interested in being able to make all those decisions, because quite frankly, I wouldn't know which type of plane to use. Your team actually has that intellectual capital to bring into the equation, yes?
Yes, our CEO has 30 years experience in aviation, and a lot of them in private aviation, has built air operations from the ground up. And so, we can help you pick a jet. That's no problem. We can help you pick which jet to charter. App actually goes a long way to doing that. We can help you pick which jet to buy. We're a growing company, so we want to grow with you.
So my question would be, for anybody that would be interested in finding out more about Jet Token, actually possibly use your app, how can people get more involved and actually use you?
Oh, easy. Just go download the app in the iOS store. Soon you'll be able to get it in the Android store, so it's Jet Token, all one word. The website, www.jettoken.com. You can call us at 800-602-5678 or email me at mike@jettoken.com. You can also hit the whole team at contact@jettoken.com, and we'll be glad to help you.
That's excellent. Mike, thank you so very much. All the very best to Jet Token and on fulfilling your vision.
Thanks, George. It's great to see you.
For blocksEDU, I'm George Levy. Thank you for watching.